Welcome to Life Stories, where every journey is filled with passion, dreams, and profound lessons. Today, we bring you the inspiring tale of Emma, a young woman with a hidden talent for singing, whose life takes a dramatic turn when an unexpected encounter with a successful businessman named Jack opens the door to her dreams. But along the way, Emma must confront her fears, doubts, and the complexities of love and ambition. Join us as we dive into her story of courage, transformation, and self-discovery. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to start today's story. In the heart of bustling New York City, hidden away on a quiet street, there was a small cafe named Harmony Cafe. It wasn't the kind of place that attracted attention with its grand decor or elaborate menu. But it was special in its own way. The cafe's real charm lay in the music that filled the air each night. Every evening, it transformed from a simple coffee shop into a stage for local artists. Some struggling, some promising, but all with stories to tell through their music. Emma worked there as a waitress. She was a young woman with dark brown hair that cascaded down her back and eyes the color of the clear blue sky on a summer day. Her skin was a warm shade of caramel, glowing under the cafe's dim, cozy lighting. To most, she was just another waitress serving drinks and meals. But Emma was so much more than that. Her real passion lay in music. She had a voice that could stir something deep inside a person, rich, soulful, and powerful. But there was one problem. Emma was shy. She had never dared to sing in front of a crowd. She was content with singing in private. The music a solace for her. But it was a secret talent, hidden from the world. Each evening, she would stand behind the counter, serving the same regulars, smiling, keeping to herself, and letting the musicians take center stage. It was a quiet routine that she had grown comfortable with. But everything changed on one particularly quiet night. It was a chilly evening in early spring, and the cafe was less crowded than usual. Emma moved gracefully between tables, bringing drinks and meals with a soft smile. The air was calm, almost serene, as the low hum of conversations filled the room. That was until he walked in, Jack. Jack was not someone you could easily overlook. He was a successful businessman, known throughout the city for his wealth and sharp wit. Dressed in a crisp suit, his confident stride and air of arrogance seemed to make the room shift. Just by his presence, he wasn't here to enjoy the music or the ambiance, he was here to be seen. People like him didn't often visit places like Harmony Cafe. But somehow, he had found his way in that night. Emma had heard of Jack before. She had heard the rumors. He was charming, no doubt, but also distant, cold, and full of himself. He enjoyed teasing people, especially the staff, and Emma knew better than to get too close to someone like him. She had heard the stories of him mocking the waitstaff and taking delight in making them feel small. But still, she remained polite and composed, not letting his presence ruffle her. But when Emma brought his coffee to his table, something unexpected happened. As she was setting the cup down, she fumbled slightly, and the hot coffee spilled onto Jack's immaculate shirt. The room fell into a stunned silence for a moment. Emma felt her heart drop, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. She opened her mouth to apologize. But Jack didn't give her a chance. His eyes twinkled with mischief as he wiped at his shirt, a sly grin curling at the corner of his lips. Well, it seems you're trying to put on a special show for me," he said sarcastically, his voice dripping with amusement. "I think you should apologize with a song. I'd love to hear your voice. Maybe it'll soften this shirt." His companions laughed, their laughter harsh and mocking. Emma felt her stomach tighten, her confidence faltering. She knew what Jack was doing. He wasn't interested in her singing. He was just mocking her, trying to humiliate her. He enjoyed seeing her discomfort, the way she would shrink under the weight of his words. But something inside Emma stirred. She couldn't let him get away with it. She couldn't let him reduce her to the punchline of his joke. Taking a deep breath, Emma met his gaze and smiled, despite the tightness in her chest. "Thank you for helping me discover my singing ability in a situation like this," she said softly, "but I don't need to expose myself for the sake of sarcasm." I'll sing to take responsibility for my actions. Her voice was calm, but there was a strength in it that surprised even her. Jack raised an eyebrow, taken aback by her response. He had expected her to cower, to apologize profusely, to beg for his forgiveness. But instead, Emma stood her ground. In that moment, he saw something in her he hadn't expected, something resilient, something that made him pause. As Emma walked towards the stage, her heart pounded in her chest. This was it, her first time singing in front of a crowd. The thought terrified her, but there was no turning back now. She had made her choice. The room was quiet now, every eye on her as she settled in front of the piano. Her fingers lightly brushed the keys, and she took a deep breath. The first notes filled the air. At first, Emma's voice was shaky, but as she sang, it began to gain strength. It wasn't just a song, it was a story. A piece of her heart being shared with everyone in the room. Her voice, soft yet powerful, filled every corner of the cafe. It wasn't just music, it was an emotion. A feeling that she poured into each note. The audience, including Jack, sat in stunned silence, unable to look away. Emma's voice was nothing like they expected. It wasn't just beautiful, it was transcendent. It was as if the room had stopped, and only the sound of her voice existed. She sang as if her soul were intertwined with the melody, and the rawness of her emotion echoed through every lyric. For the first time, Emma let go of all her fears. She sang for herself, not for anyone else, and in that moment, she felt more alive than she ever had before. As the last note hung in the air, the cafe was still. For a brief moment, no one moved, no one spoke. Then, as if on cue, thunderous applause erupted. The sound was overwhelming, and Emma's heart raced with disbelief. She had done it. She had faced her fear and let her talent shine. But there was one person who remained still. Jack. His eyes never left Emma as she stood on the stage, her chest heaving with the emotion of the performance. He had been expecting to see someone embarrassed, someone who would fold under pressure. But what he saw instead was a woman who had taken his challenge and turned it into something beautiful, something real. Emma, Jack said, his voice softer than before, filled with genuine admiration. You're really talented. He stood up, walking toward her with a look of awe in his eyes. I had no idea a waitress could have such a beautiful voice. You completely blew me away. Emma could hardly believe what she was hearing. This was the same man who had mocked her just minutes before. And now he was praising her. His eyes filled with sincerity. He paused, taking a step closer, his voice growing quieter. I don't know if you believe me, he said, his gaze intense, but I really want to help you develop your talent. I have connections, experience, and resources that can help you further your musical career. Do you want me to help? For a moment, Emma stood frozen, unsure of how to respond. She had always dreamed of becoming a singer. But the world of show business was daunting. Was Jack truly offering to help her? Or was there an ulterior motive? She was hesitant, but something about the look in his eyes made her believe that maybe, just maybe, he was offering more than just business assistance. I appreciate your offer, she replied, her voice trembling slightly, but I need time to think. I don't want to make any decisions I'll regret later. Jack nodded, understanding her hesitation. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card, handing it to Emma with a gentle smile. Here's my number, he said. If you decide to take me up on the offer, just give me a call. I believe in your potential. Emma took the card, her fingers brushing against his. She looked at him one last time, her heart still racing from the performance. I'll think about it, she said softly, her voice filled with uncertainty. Jack smiled, his eyes filled with belief. I believe you can achieve great things, Emma. As Emma left the cafe that night, she felt a mixture of emotions, excitement, fear, and hope. The business card in her pocket felt heavy, as if it were the key to a new life. But it also felt like a burden, and she wasn't sure if she was ready to carry it. The next few days would be filled with doubt and indecision. But little did she know, this night, this moment, would mark the beginning of a new chapter in her life. The days following Emma's performance at Harmony Cafe were a whirlwind of emotions. Her mind kept racing, replaying the moment she stepped onto the stage, her voice filling the room, and the thunderous applause that had followed. She had done it, but at the same time, a seed of doubt had been planted in her heart. She couldn't stop thinking about Jack's offer. His words echoed in her mind. "I believe in your potential." He had seen something in her. Something that she had long kept hidden from the world. But was he really offering to help her? Or was he just looking for a way to use her talent for his own gain? She had heard stories of men like Jack, charming, powerful, but ultimately self-serving. What if his interest in her had nothing to do with her talent and everything to do with her being a stepping stone in his pursuit of further wealth or power? Emma tried to push these thoughts aside. But they lingered, clouding her judgment. She had always dreamed of being a singer. But the reality of the entertainment world was so much harsher than she had imagined. The pressure, the expectations, the constant scrutiny, could she handle it? Could she really stand in front of a stage full of people every night and not be consumed by fear? Her heart told her yes. But her mind kept screaming no. She often found herself staring at the business card Jack had given her. The small piece of paper that now felt like a burden. It seemed to weigh heavily in her pocket. A reminder of the life-changing decision that lay before her. What if she made the wrong choice? What if she wasn't cut out for this? She had spent so much of her life hiding in the shadows. Comfortable in her quiet corner of the world. To step into the spotlight, to expose herself so fully, felt terrifying. One evening, after a long shift at the cafe, Emma sat alone in her small apartment. The city's distant sounds filtered through the thin walls. But in her room, it felt eerily silent. She sat on her bed, staring out of the window, lost in thought. Her eyes wandered to the photograph of her mother on the nightstand. Her mother, the woman who had given everything to make sure Emma had a better life. The woman who had sacrificed so much just to provide for her. Even when times were tough, Emma's heart tightened with guilt. Her mother had always wanted the best for her. And Emma knew that becoming a singer was her ultimate dream. But the reality was different. She had watched her mother toil away, working long hours, dealing with people who didn't appreciate her, just to make ends meet. Emma didn't want that life for her mother anymore. She wanted to give her a life of comfort. A life where her mother didn't have to worry about where the next meal would come from or whether she could afford to fix the roof that leaked every winter. But to do that, Emma would have to take a leap into the unknown. To take risks she had never dared to take before. As she sat in the quiet of her apartment, Emma began to realize something. Her fear wasn't just about her career, it was about disappointing her mother. About falling short of the expectations she had set for herself. But was that really fair to her? Was it fair to continue to hide behind self-doubt just because she was scared? Her mother had always taught her to be brave, to stand up for herself and to follow her heart. Now it was Emma's turn to do the same. The next morning, Emma woke up with a sense of clarity. It wasn't just about her mother's sacrifices or her own dreams. It was about the person she wanted to become. She couldn't let fear control her any longer. She couldn't stay in her comfortable, safe world, knowing that the life she wanted was just within reach, waiting for her to take it. With newfound resolve, Emma reached for the business card on the nightstand. Her fingers trembled as she dialed the number Jack had given her. Her heart pounding in her chest. The phone rang a few times before a deep voice answered. Emma? Jack's voice was warm, reassuring. I've thought about it, she said, her voice wavering but filled with determination. I'll take you up on your offer. I want to give it a try. There was a moment of silence on the other end. And then Jack's voice, filled with excitement, responded. Great. I knew you wouldn't miss this opportunity. Are you ready for a new journey? Emma closed her eyes for a moment, her breath steadying. She didn't know if she was truly ready, but she was willing to try. She wanted to take that step, to face her fears, and to see where it would take her. I don't know if I'm ready yet, she said, but I want to try. I want to see what's possible. Good, Jack replied. Meet me this afternoon, and we'll start planning. Emma nodded, even though she knew he couldn't see her. Okay, I'll see you this afternoon. As she hung up the phone, Emma felt a wave of both fear and excitement rush over her. She had made the choice. It wasn't going to be easy, but it was a start. And for the first time in a long while, she felt hopeful. The road ahead was uncertain, but she was ready to take the first step. No more hiding, no more doubting. It was time for her to rise. The days following Emma's decision were filled with nervous anticipation. She found herself caught between excitement and fear, unsure of what the future would hold. Jack had offered her a chance, a real chance to live her dream, but the weight of that opportunity was not lost on her. She had chosen to step into a world that was unfamiliar, unpredictable, and full of challenges. There would be moments of triumph, no doubt, but there would also be moments of doubt, pain, and struggle, and Emma was beginning to realize that she was not just embarking on a professional journey, she was stepping into a new life. Their first meeting after Emma's decision came quickly. That afternoon, Jack had asked her to meet him at a small studio in Brooklyn. The place was cozy but professional, filled with instruments and recording equipment. As she stepped inside, she couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement mixed with nervousness. This was the place where her dreams could come true, where her voice could be honed, polished, and shared with the world. Jack was already there, waiting for her. He greeted her with a warm smile, his presence calm but confident. There was something reassuring about him, something that made her feel as though she wasn't alone in this journey. Despite the enormity of the road ahead. "Welcome," he said, his voice steady. "I'm glad you're here. Let's get started." The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Every day, Emma met with Jack at the studio. He helped her refine her voice, showed her the intricacies of the music business, and introduced her to people who could help her build a career. There were moments when Emma felt overwhelmed. The pressure to succeed, to prove herself, was immense. She had never been in the spotlight, and now she was learning what it took to be a professional singer. But Jack was patient. He didn't push her when she struggled, but instead, he encouraged her, reminding her that every great journey begins with a single step, and that progress, however small, was still progress. In those moments, Emma realized that Jack wasn't just a businessman, he was someone who truly believed in her. Someone who saw potential in her that she had never seen herself. As the days went by, Emma found herself becoming more and more confident. She began performing at small venues around the city, local bars, cafes, and even some intimate concert halls. She was gaining recognition, and slowly, the shy girl who had once hidden behind the counter at Harmony Cafe was starting to emerge. The applause that followed her performances was no longer just a distant sound, it was a validation of everything she had worked for. But there was more to her transformation than just her growing career. She found herself becoming drawn to Jack in a way she hadn't expected. As they spent more time together, working late into the night on her music, Emma began to notice the small things. The way Jack would always make sure she had a glass of water when she was tired. The way his eyes lit up when she hit a high note. Or how he would simply stand quietly backstage, watching her with a look of pride in his eyes. It was as if he saw her, not just as an artist, but as someone special, someone worth caring for. One evening, after a particularly successful performance at a local music venue, Jack invited Emma to take a walk around the neighborhood. They strolled through the quiet streets of Greenwich Village, the soft glow of streetlights casting a romantic aura over everything. They didn't talk about work, instead. They shared stories about their lives, their dreams, and the things that made them who they were. Emma found herself opening up to him in ways she never had with anyone before. She shared stories about her childhood, about her mother's sacrifices, and about the fear that had once held her back from pursuing her dreams. Jack listened intently, offering words of encouragement and understanding. It was during that walk that Emma realized something profound. She wasn't just beginning to appreciate Jack's professional guidance, she was beginning to care for him in a way that went beyond the confines of their working relationship. She had always kept her emotions guarded, afraid to let anyone too close. But with Jack, everything felt different. It was as if they understood each other in a way no one else could. As they continued walking, Jack draped his coat over her shoulders. The simple gesture sent a flutter of warmth through Emma's chest. Her heart raced as she realized what had been growing between them. She wasn't just becoming successful in her career, she was also starting to fall for the man who had helped her believe in herself. But along with that realization came fear. Could she allow herself to fall for Jack? Could she let love enter her life without it threatening everything she had worked so hard for? And did Jack feel the same way? Or was she imagining something that wasn't there? As they walked under the soft glow of the streetlights, Emma's heart beat in time with her uncertain thoughts. She was unsure of where this path would lead. But for the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of peace. The future was still unknown. But with Jack by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next, both in her career and in her heart. As time passed, Emma's career flourished. She became a well-known name in the music world, performing at bigger venues and earning the respect of both her peers and fans. Every stage she stepped on, every note she sang, was a testament to the growth and courage she had found within herself. But what truly made her journey complete was Jack's unwavering support. He was there through every rehearsal, every challenge, and every triumph. He was no longer just a business partner, he was her closest friend, her confidant, and the person who had helped her believe in herself when she had doubted everything. But beyond their professional bond, something beautiful had blossomed between them: love. It wasn't a love built on fleeting moments or shallow connections. It was a love rooted in understanding, trust, and mutual respect. They had both come from different worlds, but they had found something together that transcended all differences. One evening, after a successful concert in the city, Jack took Emma's hand and, with a smile, led her into the quiet streets. They walked together in peaceful silence, knowing that their love and their future were built on something real. "Thank you for believing in me," Emma whispered, her heart full of gratitude. Jack smiled back, his eyes warm with affection. "I believed in you long before you ever saw it yourself." Together, they walked into the night, ready to face whatever came next with love, courage, and the promise of a bright future ahead. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more life stories. Stay tuned for new videos that will touch your heart and inspire your soul. Thank you for watching.